Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fandom Portals podcast, where we explore fandoms that help you learn and grow. This week, we are looking at The Nice Guys. That is the 2016 movie starring Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe, and it is directed by Shane Black. Now, in this episode, we are looking at how the clever writing of this movie makes it one of the most rewatchable comedies. We're looking at the phenomenon known as the eucatastrophe, and we're answering questions about how this breaks the mold of your traditional kind of comedic detective story. And we're looking at the unlikely pair of Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, and we're discussing whether that works as a combination that should be in further movies. Now, you guys are very vocal on this topic for our podcast on our threads, and if you're interested in joining our threads and becoming part of the Fandom Portals community, make sure you look at the show notes below or go on to Threads and find us at Fandom Portals. We hope you enjoy this episode on The Nice Guys. Hello, everybody. It's Aaron here from the Fandom Portals podcast. I'm here with Brash.
What's up? How's everyone doing?
Very well, thank you, Brash. All right, today we are going to start off as usual with our gratitudes and growths. You can go first today, Brash, with your gratitudes and growths.
I did have one. Actually, no, I am grateful for my health. I've been not so struggling with my health. Like, I'm fine. Like, according to the doctors, there's a horse, but
fantastic. No, it's always good to be healthy. Shit way to end the year, but you know, you can only go up in January.
But the thing is, like, anytime there was something on, so like my Christmas party or anything like that, I was fine. And then it's always the in-between part.
Yep. All right. So for me, I'll start with my growth. And last week we talked about my sleeping pattern, how it's absolute rubbish. So for me, my growth or my area of growth is still the fact that I have a shitty sleeping pattern. I actually looked into sleep debt. I don't know if it's a real thing or not. So I looked it up. Apparently it is. But I got one of those tracking apps, and it tracks the times where you go to sleep, and it's supposed to be and the times that you get up. And I'm very consistent in when I wake up.
Yep.
And I am thankful to my children for that, because they're like the best alarm clocks. But the times that I go to bed, I was only consistently going to bed last week the same time 2 nights in a row. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
This is, 2 nights in a row. But it's still somewhere that I need to grow. So I'm working on it. Sleeping pattern. It's important, people. And then my gratitude for this week, I was talking to you earlier about it, but my gratitude is for our Threads community. Bit of a podcast gratitude for this one. But yeah, you guys have been really awesomely commenting on a lot of the stuff that we've been putting out there, which is awesome to see. We're going to be shouting you guys out in this episode when we're talking about The Nice Guys, because you guys had a bit to say about it. So very thankful for you guys, very grateful for you guys, and yeah, keep it coming because we love reading them. So very grateful for the Fandom Portals community.
Actually, I do have, now I'm thinking about it, I do have something I'm grateful for.
Let's go.
Earlier this week, and I fell asleep on the couch and it messed up my shoulder.
Yep.
And I went to work and it was just pain all day. And then, so I'm like, I'll go to masseuse and hopefully that'll help. And here's my gratitude. It helped. But then here's the double-edged sword. It hurt.
Yeah, good. Yeah. They know how to do their job, hey?
Yeah. So my gratitude is to the all the masseuses out there and the physios. Thank you guys. You do God's work.
Yeah.
But ouch.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, hey, because I can, for me, I can sit and game on the couch using my thumbs for hours and hours on end. Oh. The moment you have to massage something else, like 15 minutes, those thumbs are cooked. I don't know.
Gorilla grips. They must be like those squeeze, like the tension, like they should be able to smash
the
those.
Squeezy hand grips just while they're driving.
Oh.
Yeah. Without any further ado, let's get into our first segment, which is our First Takes. Our First Takes segment is the segment where we like to talk about how we first were introduced to this movie. Again, we are talking about The Nice Guys.
A couple of people say you're a pretty good detective.
That's a lot of blood.
I want you to help me with this case.
My profession's very complicated. It's very nuanced. Well, look who decided to show up for class. This is a high-profile case. You seen this girl? Her name's Amelia. What's in it for me?
We can do this the easy way. Ow! We're currently doing it the easy way.
Dad, there's like whores here and stuff.
Sweetheart, how many times have I told you, don't say and stuff. Just say, Dad, there are whores here. Where are you going?
I think this is gonna work better if we split up.
Wow, that's really insensitive.
Amelia, run!
All right, so The Nice Guys is a movie starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. And this segment of the First Takes is where we talk about how we first discovered or our first impressions of the movie. It's in this segment also where we're going to start shouting out some of our Threads commenters to get your first takes of the movie as well. So if you would like to, that is at Fandom Portals. Definitely come and connect with us on Threads when we post a what are your thoughts on this movie post. Brash, do you want to go first? How did you first discover The Nice Guys?
I first saw it ads on just TV, but I never actually, like the first time I watched it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, that might be all right. But then I don't think it ever caught my eye enough to
hit play.
Because of late, Ryan Gosling for me has been absolutely amazing. Everything he does, like I reckon, yeah. So, but back when I was 26,
You weren't a film connoisseur like you are right now.
No, I'm not. Oh, the thing is, I used to watch everything, and then, but like, there was just some things that I just missed because back then, like Ryan Gosling was for the girls.
Yep.
And Russell Crowe was in it, and I was like, oh yeah. But then last time I really liked anything Russell Crowe was in was like The Gladiator.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan Gosling to me has gone through the same transition as Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because you know how he started in his rom-com phase, and then everyone was like, "Oh fuck, this guy can actually."
Interstellar, and then get to like Interstellar and stuff. I was like,
Yep, Dallas Buyers Club, all that. But for me, when I first encountered this movie, I did not know it existed at all until I downloaded Letterboxd. And when I downloaded Letterboxd, obviously that's a social media platform for movie lovers. I added my brother on it straight away, who was my only friend for a while. Shout out Dylan, how you going? And one of his favorite movies, because on Letterboxd you can highlight your top 4 movies and it sits at the top of your profile.
Yep.
And one of his was The Nice Guys, which is a surprise for me because I didn't think he was into those kinds of movies. He rated it 5 stars, and I was like, I'll have to check it out because it wasn't a pick for me where I think, Dylan, my little brother, would love that kind of movie. So it immediately went onto my watch list. So that was the story for me. Yeah. And again, the pairing of Gosling and Crowe, 2 bird last names, by the way, out of the blue. Like, I don't know. It's not a pairing that I pick. Hey?
And that's probably like another reason why I didn't really like, because I didn't think like them two together would make enough impact for me to make it good.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so the people from our threads, there is a lot of positive talk about the movie. So Lizette69 said that they loved it. And then Scribed31ounce said it's a crime that we never got a sequel. And that was probably mirrored by a lot of users. Lola Vitala said it's not bad. And then Bill Middle Mass said it's an absolute gem of a movie. Should have had a sequel, but to be honest, the best ones really don't need a sequel. So a lot of talk about sequels, Brash. Did you make it to the end of this movie?
I did.
Yep. And it kind of lines it up pretty well for one.
Yeah, especially at the end. Like, but we'll talk about it later.
We'll get into it. Lainey Delaney said that she loves this movie so much and they're ashamed that they didn't make a sequel. So again, that sequel talk. Another one, Old Geek Scott, said that it was vastly underrated, with Lesterly Lee saying that they loved it and they would love to see a sequel as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it was definitely like, if I'd if I'd have known that I was going to like it, I probably would have watched it back when it like first came out.
Yeah. So before we leave our first take segment, we always sort of frame our point of view for the talks to come. So Brash, did you enjoy the movie? Did you like the movie?
I did like the movie, yes. I very much did.
Yeah, so for me, when I first watched it, I thought it was pretty average, but then I rewatched it and I did some reading on it. And instead of me thinking that because on initial view, I watched it and I thought that the plot was really disjointed and some of the connections didn't really hit. But then when you look at it from particular point of views, it's actually very clever. So I gave it 3.5 stars on my Letterboxd, but I'm thinking I might have to bump that up because I liked it a lot more than what I did on a second watch through. Yeah. And that's something that one of our threaders said as well, is that it gets better with every rewatch, which is rare for a movie. So there we go. It is pretty universally liked, which is surprising because it's like it didn't do too well at the box office.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get into that in my favorite segment, the Fandom Face Off. So it's been 2 weeks so far since we've started this. The Fandom Fact Face-Off is a segment where Brasher and I give trivia questions to one another. We give 3 each and we score each other out of 3. And the winner after a month, so 4 movies or 4 episodes, will treat the other to a cinema date, all expenses paid, if they beat their opposing player. So the current score after 2 weeks is that Brasher is on 4 and that I am on 3. So if you're doing the maths after 2 weeks, 6 possible questions, I'm hitting a 50% and Brasher's hitting just a little bit more than that. So we'll see if we can bump those scores up, bump up those rookie numbers in this week's episode. I'm going to go first, Brash, if that's all good with you.
Yep.
All right, I'll do this one first. So the director of this movie is named Shane Black, and they also worked on Iron Man 3, and they famously wrote one other screenplay featuring a buddy cop dynamic. What was that screenplay or script?
Buddy cop.
Very famous. I'll give you a clue. One of the characters has a famous catchphrase or line, and he says, "I'm too old for this shit."
Oh, Lethal Weapon.
Yes, Lethal Weapon is correct. Oh. Ding, ding, ding. So yeah, his very first and most famous screenplay, he wrote all of the Lethal Weapon movies. As I said before, he also worked and directed Iron Man 3. And funnily enough, Ty Simpkin, the kid from Iron Man 3, also features in this movie at the very, very start. Yep, he plays Harley in Iron Man 3. And in The Nice Guys, he plays the boy who finds Misty Mountains dead on a rock after he's rummaging for his dad's nudie magazine. So good work, Brash. Good point for you. Good point for you.
Well, you sort of fed it to me with that, the line.
Yeah, well, we always get one hint. That's how it works. So you'll go.
Okay, so the actress who plays Holly, what's her country of, what's her nationality?
Okay, so Holly is the daughter of Ryan Gosling. Her name is Angry Rice, which sounds like Angry Rice. Angry, I don't know her nationality, but it sounds Swedish?
She's Australian.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I did not pick her as an Australian. Her accent is completely hidden.
Yep. Born in, I think she's Perth born. Yep. Don't quote me on that one though, but she was born in 2001. 2001.
So that would have made her 15 at 14 at the time of shooting, 15 when it was released, this movie. So yeah, you have a history of feeling like the families / children of protagonists in movies are useless characters. So we'll see how that goes later today when we talk about it. But score currently for the Fandom Fact Face-Off, Brasher 1, me nothing. Next one for Brash. I always ask you a box office question, so here is it for this week. This movie had a budget of $50 million. How much did it earn?
I have a feeling it was underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I actually couldn't tell you. I'm going to take a stab. So it cost $50 million to make?
Yes.
I'm going to say it probably at least matched what it costs, or it would have went over what it cost, but not by much. So I reckon maybe $100 million to $125 million.
$125 million is very generous. It actually only made $71 million from a budget of $50 million. The Angry Birds movie actually outperformed this one. It's considered one of the reasons why it didn't perform well at the box office.
So the thing is, I've actually watched Angry Birds movie.
So have I. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's actually kind of just
1 to you, 0 to me. You'll go for your second question.
My second question: what was this movie originally going to be?
Okay, so I think I read this. The director Shane Black originally wanted this movie to be a TV series.
That's right, he did. But they were worried it wasn't going to go anywhere, so they turned it into a movie. Yeah,
and you know what? That's like not encouraging. If somebody says to you, we don't really think that you have the plot or the direction to make this into a 10-part or 12-part.
Long series.
Yeah, let's make it into a movie instead. All right. Glad they did, though, because it's now finding appreciation nowadays as our Threads community and you and I both sort of have figured. All right, your last question. So Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe both accepted their respective roles in this movie for what reason?
Surely it couldn't be just like because they liked the script.
Well, they did, but that wasn't the reason.
That wasn't the reason. Was it? Did they do it as a favor?
No, they didn't do it as a favor. Russell Crowe had already been in talks with Shane Black to have signed on for the movie, and Ryan Gosling signed on to the movie because he knew Russell Crowe was going to be in the movie. So they signed on because they wanted to work with each other.
Right.
So that was the story. Do you have one question left?
I do.
Here we go.
When Misty Mountain is on the rock, her last words to the boy was the title of the film they made. What was the title of the film?
Something, 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 big boy. what she said.
She does. She says,
do you like my car, big boy?
Yes.
Yes. There it is. Very good. Yeah. So when she's dying on the rock there, I thought that was really, that sort of gave you the vibe of the movie, wasn't it? Because that was weird.
Because it took me a hot minute to figure out that she wasn't just saying, oh, I was like, I sort of thought like, oh yeah, I saw the name of the film that they made. It's only then that I clicked it. Oh shit, she was trying to give the kid a hint. Yeah. It was like a light bulb moment. That's when the detective should have clicked on. That's what she was saying. Yeah. What were her last words? This was the last word. Yeah. That didn't click to me until the second watch as well. That's what I mean when I say that this movie's kind of clever and you pick something new up every single time. Very good. So currently for our fandom fact file segment, we have myself sitting at 5 points and Brasher sitting at 5 points after 3 weeks. So next week will be the final and it will also decide who shouts the movie date. So we'll have to wait and see, Brash. Have to wait and see. All right. So let's get into our next segment. All right, our next segment of the show is the most valuable takeaway. And this is the main sort of segment of the show where Brash and I talk about the thing that we liked the most from the movie, whether it be a particular scene, it could be a life lesson that we've learned, it could be something that we can apply to our own lives to help us grow, it could be an educational fact, it could be something in the cinematography of the movie that we really liked, or it could even be something from a character that we really want to improve our own lives with. So yeah, this could be really anything that really just sort of stuck with us for this movie. I have one or two for my MVTs this week, Brash. What about yourself? I have one.
You have one?
One main.
Yep. So I might go first for this one. Mine is more of a cinema sort of themed learning takeaway for me, and it encompasses a phenomenon known as the eucatastrophe. Have you heard of eucatastrophe before?
No.
Okay, so the eucatastrophe was a term coined by J.R.R. Tolkien, who obviously wrote Lord of the Rings, my most famous fandom of all time. And it refers to a sudden and favorable resolution of events in a story, often bringing a moment of joy or hope amidst despair. So if you think of Lord of the Rings, it could be the moment where Frodo and Sam make their way all the way up to Mount Doom, having encountered lots and lots of turmoils along the way, lots of hardship, lots of bad luck. Eventually, when they get to Mount Doom, Frodo decides not to throw the ring in, but in a great turn of events and fate, Gollum steals the ring from him. And then when he's celebrating, he slips and falls into the fire of Mount Doom. And that is a really happy coincidence.
Yeah.
So it's usually associated with those sorts of moments that bring joy out of despair. And it's usually like an unexpected coincidence, pretty much, that occurs. And I found that this movie was absolutely rife with eucatastrophes. When I watched it the first time, I was speaking to you earlier about how the plot seemed a little bit disjointed, and every time something happened, it happened in a manner that you didn't really expect it to, or it had a lot of similar tropes in this sort of neo-noir genre, and you expected the movie to go a particular way, but then in other scenes, it kind of didn't pan out the way that you wanted it to. The scene that comes to be the best built-up joke in the whole movie, in my opinion, was when they were being faced down by Tally in the room, the femme fatale, which is a neo-noir theme. The femme fatale in the room, they were held at gunpoint. Russell Crowe's character and Ryan Gosling's character were there. And, you know, the scene was progressing in a manner that saw them, they were basically stuffed. Like they were at gunpoint. And then it clicked over in Ryan Gosling's mind, in Holland March's mind, that he would stall and go for an ankle gun. So he ducked to the floor. He immediately started grasping at Healy's legs. And then when he did that, he realized that the ankle gun wasn't there, and he had dreamed it up in the first place because thematically, 15 minutes before, he had been shown an ankle gun in the car by Russell Crowe's character as Healy. But through that process of events, obviously it got more and more fantastical as that scene went on, and they were eventually in the car with a giant bumblebee, and he crashed the car. So it's that awesome moment of filmmaking and film telling for me where Ryan Gosling was sort of figuring it out as the audience was figuring it out, because it wasn't fully apparent that that was like a dream sequence or a fantasy or that he'd fallen asleep until the bee arrived. And when you were introduced to the ankle gun, it was still almost in that foggy phase of, is this real or is it not? So it was perfectly timed, perfectly placed. And then 15 minutes later, which I think is like the perfect amount of time to build up for a joke, because any more and you would have forgotten about it, any less and it would have been too soon. And I just found myself laughing my guts out at that actual scene. And then it continued even further with the trope of somebody calling for room service, Holly calling for room service. And then when she called for room service, you expect at that moment for Holly to come in, initiate the distraction, and then the heroes bust over Tally. But then that didn't happen either. So it was almost like these series of events that were occurring that weren't occurring in a manner that was predictable. And then the thing that gets Tally in the end was the fact that she slipped on the coffee and knocked herself out.
Yeah.
And those were all throughout the movies. These eucatastrophes were all throughout the movies. And the more that I looked at it, the more I found. So that was my big takeaway from this, is how clever Shane Black actually initiates these comedic elements in combination with neo-noir film stereotypes. So you expect the ankle gun to be there and you expect them to shoot Tally. In any other movie that would have happened, not in this one. You expect the hot coffee to scold the villain and the distraction to occur, big shootout, bang, bang. In any other movie would have happened. In this one, no, it didn't. So that eucatastrophe element for me was so surprising, and I learned a little bit about it for this week. So that was mine.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. Another moment was when, you know how Ryan Gosling, Holland March is going through the porn star's party, and he goes and he tries to impress that woman. And as he does, he falls off the balcony, and in falling off the balcony, he actually stumbles upon the dead body, which initiates their quest or their detective journey.
Healy! 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 Come on, come down here! What the fuck are you doing down there? Get down here!
Like, it's that kind of happy accident, that eucatastrophe that drives the whole film. Yeah, lots of happy accidents. Another one, and probably my second favorite one, was when they were in the elevator and they were going up to see the lead. And then they got all the way up there. They poked their heads out of the elevator and they see that John Boy's already just eviscerating everybody with the guns. And then they go straight back down the elevator. You know, they did all the work. They did all the legwork. They went up the stairs and then they're like, nope.
Just ducked out.
Straight back down, got in the car. And then the eucatastrophe happens because Amelia, the girl that they've been looking for, played by Margaret Hawley, she jumps onto the car.
What are we doing?
I can't just leave.
Why?
She's in danger, man. We have to do something about it.
She's dead.
What do you mean she's dead?
Come on!
She's not dead.
Open your
you
eyes,
don't know that.
man. She's fucking
You
dead!
don't know.
Yeah, all these eucatastrophes that happen, these happy coincidences, you look at it and you think that was really convenient. But then you think, oh, wait a minute, this is a movie. Yeah. Somebody actually wrote for that to happen. And that's what started to make me think that this movie was actually really clever. So that's mine. So yeah, go back and watch it and see about all the happy coincidences. I reckon you'll find a few.
So many.
Yeah.
Like even Blueface getting hit by the van.
Yes. Yep. 100%. And things you don't expect to happen, like when March is driving the red sports car in chase and he's just going 100 miles an hour and he does that wicked looking skid. I was like, oh, this is a movie. He's going to do this awesome skid, stop, shoot out the car. That's how it's going to happen. But he did this skid and he hit the fucking tree.
Yeah.
It just does it like it's that.
And then he can't get to Holly in that in time because the car is stuck on the tree and it takes him a while to get the car off the tree.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, you know, it's that kind of timing, that comedic timing. And everybody always says, you know, comedy is timing. And it takes a lot for a movie to make me laugh, really, because I find that all of the lines and the attempts at witty dialogue and things, they're really hit and miss for me. But this kind of unexpected eucatastrophe coincidence, it subverted my expectations in terms of what I thought would happen in a movie, which was good for me because I'm notoriously bad for trying to predict how a movie goes. Yeah. And when I watched this one, it was really good to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. It was good.
Mine is their devotion to the theme for the theme around the 70s.
Yep.
How there'll be scenes where it'll cut in and it's filmed like it was filmed back in the 70s, like it was all rough.
Yeah.
Rugged. And then you see it just like smooth, slowly transitions into like, and because I know like when they did at the Porn Star party when they first when they had the band playing, and then it was like all 70s like looked like it was filmed in the 70s, and then it cut, and then when they walked in through the door, it sort of changed back into the normal
cutaway shots were really
films.
good.
And they did that a few times when they're towards the end when they're at the car sale dealership convention. Same thing, like when they were showing all the cars and that showgirls, it was all filmed like it was filmed on an old school camera, and it just looked vintage. And then they just
cut straight through again,
and then it looked back at the day, and then it sort of cuts into sort of their perspective.
Yeah, and even down to the themes in terms of the stuff that they decided to depict. So one of the big themes of like neo-noir movies is a like an urban decay sort of theme where the city it looks really glamorous, like the city of LA looks really glamorous, but it's literally showing us the underbelly of that city, the way people live in terms of drugs, hitmen, porn stars, that kind of thing. But it's all colorful in glitz and glamour, and that's how they depict it as well in that sort of 70s vibe. I really enjoyed the way that they did that, and the way that even the music and the soundtrack all fed into that 70s aesthetic as well. The whole plot was centered around like a conspiracy, and there was lots of people throughout the movie that distrusted the government, which was a cultural theme that was rife through the 70s with, Watergate scandal and all that kind of thing, which gave rise to like private investigators, which is what this movie centers around, with Ryan Gosling's character of March being a private investigator, Crowe being an enforcer. Yeah, I think that 70s vibe just worked for this movie. I think I read something about Black wanting to make a neo-noir movie or a noir movie, and a noir movie is like an old detective style movie, and usually it's made in a post-World War II sort of situation, and it encompasses very flawed characters, which this does.
Yeah. Usually
very cynical characters. They usually end in ambiguous ways, and it also sort of entails that urban sort of sprawl and decay. So I like the way that they meshed all that together. But Shane Black sort of said, I don't want to do it in the 40s and 50s. I want to make it in the 70s, or the 60s and the 70s. And I think that made it like that.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but when there was a shot at the very start, which is the camera's coming over the Hollywood Hills, you see the sprawling city back in the 70s, but it still looks glamorous and everything like that. But then if you look at the Hollywood sign, the back of the Hollywood sign, graded, got graffiti all over it. It's all like some of the sign, like the actual letters are starting to break apart, and it just looks like uncared for.
Yeah.
So you see this big sprawling city, then you see the back of like the Hollywood sign. It's all starting grungy and dirty.
That's such a good metaphor.
So it shows like on the surface it looks great, but if you look behind the scenes,
if you look that a little bit deeper. And I love that I didn't even notice that, but the fact that they put that right at the start of the movie for people like yourself to sort of notice, you're just like, here's this beautiful, pristine city. But if you look a little bit closer,
you see behind the scenes is a bit dirty, and like it sort of, and that sort of shows with the characters too, like Russell Crowe's character. He wants to do right, but then his character,
he's been shat on a bit.
Yeah. And he goes around, he pretty much beats people up for a living.
Yep.
He beats people up for a living to be a nice guy.
Yep.
And then same with Ryan Gosling. He'll go and do his detective work, and like sometimes probably does it, but for the most part he's just trying to get as much money out of him as possible and drag it out as much as possible.
The scene that I remember from that one is when he's sitting in front of the old lady, and she says, I haven't seen my husband since the funeral, and he looks towards the mantelpiece and sees the ashes, and he goes, I'll do the best I can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he'll go off and he'll like investigate for a couple of days, come back and be like, oh, your husband's died.
Yep. But he takes the money off anyway. Yeah. And that's another theme of the that noir sort of style, is they have like the characters are very morally ambiguous, where we see Ryan Gosling character of Holland March being, I will use this term lightly, but a functioning alcoholic. That's his flaw. And then we might get into this a little bit with the Real Deal segment, but Russell Crowe's character of Jackson Healy is a reformed alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's just like the two different sorts of flaws that they play in that, and the way that they develop throughout the film is really kind of brilliant in that sort of noir 70s style. So yeah, I love your MVT this week. That's awesome. All right, we are onto our Real Deal segment, and this is where we take some of the elements from the movie and we rate it as being either good or bad, and we use special terms that we coin ourselves in order to call them good and bad, and we get a generator to tell us what things we're going to be talking about. And this could be anything from the themes of the movie, or it could be something from the actor's chemistry. It could be the cinematography. It could be the director's vision. It could be the cultural impact of the movie. The real deal is a way for us to sort of review a movie without going from top to bottom. It's kind of like a gamified way that we do it. So for this week, Brash, if we think something is good, we're going to be calling it Healy's Hits.
Give me your left arm. Huh? Your left arm. Give me your left arm. This one.
No.
Yeah, come on.
No. No.
Did you cut yourself?
I'm dealing with an injury.
Right. Look, when you're talking to your doctor, just tell him you have a spiral fracture at the left radius.
No. No.
Deep breath.
No.
Because they knock it out of the park, as Russell Crowe does
right.
a lot of the time in the movie. You see him absolutely forcing people, including Ryan Gosling's wrist spiral fracture. That scream is just awesome too. And then if it's a bad point, we're going to call it an ankle gun.
You nervous at all?
Me? No. I got insurance. This baby right here.
An ankle gun?
Because it wasn't really there. Let's get our generator to pick what we're talking about this time. All right, so the first one that we've got from our generator at the first part of our Real Deal segment is going to be climactic build-up / villains.
Yeah, so I think that for me this is ankle gun.
Ankle gun. Okay.
I felt the whole way through it sort of built up and then it just sort of like fizzled.
Fizzled at the end, yeah.
Like there's no
an unsatisfying ending.
Yeah, like to any sort of like to most of their confrontations.
Yep.
Like they just sort of like they usually just like end. But from what you said earlier, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
With the coincidences and everything like that. But like even still, like the last scene,
When they're both at the bar.
they got John Boy. They got John Boy, this assassin going around just absolutely messing people up.
Mm.
And then like the last scene, you see they're having a shootout. Russell Crowe's chasing him, and they're trying to get away with the film. And all these security guards come to try and take out John Boy, and he's just flipping them over and just beating the crap out of them, killing all these guys, just taking everyone out. And then Russell Crowe pretty much handedly just kicks his ass.
Yep.
And it's like this dude's like a proper assassin who takes like ease in killing people.
Yeah.
And Russell, he sort of just barely even lays a hand on Russell Crowe's character.
Yeah. It was kind of convenient as well, but it goes back to that thing we were talking about, how the coincidences occur.
Like pulls a grenade and he throws the shirt down and it lands on the guy about to shoot his character and explodes.
Yeah, very, very full of coincidence. And even to the point where we're talking about even more coincidences when Ryan Gosling's character March falls off of the building with the villain. The villain just splats on the pavement.
And he lands in the water.
Yeah, happily in the pool. But in that regard as well, I kind of liked the way that John Boy, the character, was represented in terms of him being a very proficient user of violence, splattering bodies wherever he went. And then throughout the movie, Healy, although he's an enforcer, and March as a private investigator, traditionally in these neo-noir movies or these noir movies, the investigators are supposed to be really competent. They're supposed to be really together. They can hold themselves up in a fight. This guy can't. Like Ryan Gosling's character is absolutely inept.
Even though he's meant to be ex-army.
Yep. Yeah. So maybe we know why he was discharged. But yeah, I really liked how John Boy was this perfect Crowe and Gosling the whole way through. Yeah. Putting that together is just like, these characters are absolutely stuffed. You'd expect them to get absolutely
manhandled.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing that, like, because all of them were like, coincidentally they were able to get the upper hand. Russell Crowe's probably a bit more efficient in his ability to fight than Gosling. But yeah, I just feel like at the end, and especially because Russell Crowe goes to kill him at the end.
Don't do it. Yep.
But like it would be more impactful if he because when they break into his apartment and he's like, oh, I would have been fine if you had to come in, mess up the place and left. Then he started messing with my fish and made me angry.
Yep.
And then that's like when he gets all hyped up. This thing, like the dude's trying to kill him and everything like that. But going off what he said earlier, that's what he would expect. And he would get that upset about it.
Exactly. And I think that's another one of those times where it builds up to the thing you expect to happen and then it doesn't do the thing that you want it to do.
But I would have liked more so like for him to get like a bit like more hurt, or maybe Holly rocks up and he goes to do something to hurt Holly, and then he does something heroic.
Yep.
And then falls into that line where he's about to kill him. And Holly's like, no, don't do it. And sort of like, but then Russell Crowe has to go like, he was about to hurt you.
Yeah. So then it's more of that moral conflict and it builds up that sort of tension there as the character build up as well. So ankle gun for you. For me, I'm probably going to give it an ankle gun as well, just because I do understand that the noir genre usually has ambiguous endings. And I do like at the very end how it's a very sort of sad ending, really, when Gosling and Crowe's character of March and Healy are in the bar. March being throughout the movie a complete alcoholic, and all throughout the movie, Healy refusing drinks and then being just completely wasted at the end of this movie, fallen off the wagon, gone back to his old ways. In a way, he's gone through all this character growth, and then for you to see him back in the bottle, you're just like, that's a little bit anticlimactic.
And that's what I thought
no
too.
growth here. But again, that's sort of that unexpected twist.
But see, and I don't think it was necessary, like for him to be wasted.
Yep.
Like I would have thought him, especially with him with Holly, and then I thought that would have helped him, because it didn't seem like alcohol or anything was his issue. It was his issue with like if he sees a threat, he'll end that threat.
Yeah, violently.
Yeah, and like he'll take out that threat. His growth was, well, maybe there's another way. Maybe instead of like judge, jury, execution.
And do you think that end scene where he was back at the bottle, do you think that kind of cuts that character growth?
I think it does, because now he's an alcoholic. Well, now he's gone back to drinking again. Like everyone knows like what drinking can do to someone.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe that's why some of our threaders thought, and why we all think as well, why this sort of deserved a sequel. Obviously, there's lots of other reasons with this being a clever movie, the pairing of Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling being awesome, but it does kind of leave that ambiguous ending open where the characters still have room to grow.
Yeah.
So some people might see that as like a very clever way to end the film. It's very genre specific in the noir sort of genre. But yeah, for me, it was an ankle gun, and the build up as well toward that ankle gun for you as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get another one generated. All right, so this one being generated is the actors' performances. So this is where we talk about how the two leading actors or actresses, depending on the film, connect with one another, how great their performances were throughout the movie. So for me on this one, this was a Healy's hits, especially Ryan Gosling. Looking at his filmography, he can do anything. Like this man worked very seriously in a movie called Drive. He has done sort of character-based comedy when it comes to Barbie when he played Ken. And in this movie, he's almost like he's blending all kinds of performances. Like I spent a good moment in my second watch through just watching what Ryan Gosling did with his eyes throughout scenes, and you'd see how he would just raise eyebrows or open his eyes really wide at the perfect moment to hit that comedic timing. That sort of physicality is something that isn't in a script for him to do. And that is really amazing to watch as a viewer, because he's physically reacting to the scene. The most famous scene and my favorite in this sort of vein, showing how great Ryan Gosling is at comedic acting and slapstick, was when he received the case. And think about how every other detective movie would have shown a character receiving a case. It would have been briefed dossier across the desk, very formal talk, maybe across a computer screen. Ryan Gosling, Holland Marsh gets his case in the toilet.
Yeah.
And he's there, magazine cast, gun in one hand, cigarette in the mouth. And then, the door just flies open and shut as he's just really offset by Healy walking in there. And then he drops the cigarette into his pants as he's going through. Like, imagine trying to be Russell Crowe, keeping a straight face in that film, but then also Ryan Gosling trying to
juggle
put
everything,
that set piece together. Just for me, that was just a perfect combination of slapstick comedy with like comedic timing and also just dialogue, the way that he was delivering it as well. There wasn't a thing that Holland Marsh, Ryan Gosling's character, could do in this movie that I did not like. To the point where he's supposed to be this really, tough and stoic private investigator, which is the impression that Healy gets of Private Eyes when he comes in. He says, "You just gave up your contact." And he goes, "Yeah, so I don't care." And he thought they were supposed to be tough. He's like, "Are you going to fight back?" He's like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, I love that game.
And then he keeps trying to like fake him out, but like he's just so like he's just obviously there.
Yep.
And Ross is just basically watching him just fumble across. He's like,
fumbling across the floor. He liked that. Like he kicks him. He's just like, we're going to play a game. The game is called When I'm Talking, You're Not, or something like that. He enacts that scene where, basically he submits completely to the character of Healy. And that kind of just performance, just in Ryan Gosling's case alone, for me, made this a Healy's hits for me. Ryan Gosling was just stellar. What about you? What do you reckon for the actors' performances?
No, I have to also agree Healy's hits. Yeah, Ryan Gosling, like, and one of the most famous things that's still going around on like TikToks and Reels at the moment is the scene where he's at the rooftop bar at the end and the guy's like, "Oh, do you like a drink?" He's like, "No." It's like, "It's free, what do you want?" He's like, does the double take. And that goes around TikTok and Instagram still all the time.
Yeah.
But I liked both Russell Crowe Crowe's and Rice's.
Angry
dynamic.
Rice?
Yeah.
Oh, dynamic. Yeah,
they're dynamic. With Holly and with Jackson. Almost like Jackson's was sort of taking pity on Holly, but then Holly was also like, "Bitch, I'm the adult here."
Yeah, she was
pretty much.
She was mature beyond her age.
And then so
yeah.
But I like and how their sort of friendship was like sort of both.
It's unexpected.
On and off.
Yeah.
So when like they first meet, she like offers him a drink, and then she obviously finds out that he beat the crap out of her dad and broke his arm. And then then they meet, and she was like angry at first. It was like, "Oh, you're the guy who beat my dad." And then when she found out what it did, she's like, "How much would it cost for you to beat up my friend?"
Yeah, to beat up dad.
And then she's like, how much money you got?" She's like, "Oh, $70.
Yeah.
And then sort of like, but then like later on after that, she's like, "I don't like you."
Mm.
And then just progressing through, like they form some sort of like weird bond or connection.
Yeah.
When he goes and talks to her out and where their house burnt down, where her mum like died in the house fire, they sort of have like that other sort of like bonding moment.
Yeah, she was like his moral compass or his grounding point, I think, because he'd also gone through heaps of trauma through the movie. Another one of my favorite scenes is when he's monologuing and he talks about how his wife has left him.
Yeah.
And
that was so funny.
I was so taken aback by that. It was just like,
it was so abrupt. And so
exactly. Oh man. And
he's like, just like having dinner, just nonchalantly, he's just taking a drink, and she's like,
Coke's on the way.
"I'm sleeping with your dad."
Yeah.
And he just spits just all his water out. And then it just cuts away.
Yeah. That's another thing when I watched the scene where it's like, okay, this is a flashback. He's drinking wine in this scene and now he's refusing drinks. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's kind of the problem area. Like he's trying to avoid that kind of emotionality again because he's been hurt before. But yeah. And also he's talking about buying houses. Like when you're married, he's just like, he's buying a house for someone you hate. So he's that jaded character, but that girl, Holly, just sort of brings back his humanity through the innocence of hope that she has. So I think he's the antithesis of her character in that regard. So am I right in assuming, Brash, that this is a character that is a child of a main character that you actually feel like belongs in the film?
Yes.
Well, there we go.
To be honest, Holly was probably my favorite in this entire. But to be fair,
that's why I picked this movie.
To be fair, Ryan Gosling's character is a terrible father.
Oh, 100%.
And I wouldn't even call him a family. She was more looking after him more than he was looking after her.
Yeah.
But his like, like the old detective movies, like their assistant.
Yeah, the assistant actually.
She's like just like an assistant pretty much.
Exactly.
Just with like a little bit more of an emotional tie.
Yep. No, I agree. All right, let's get our next one going up. All right, and the next one that is generated is character development, which we've kind of talked about before, but in the space of dialogue. So if we talk about dialogue and the way that it's crafted in scenes, I can start off with this one. When you were just talking about Holly being the grown-up in the situation, I feel like the writer or the script writer of this movie has done a really great job of doing something that we do in the teaching world. We ask our students to write in a manner that is a show, don't tell. So there's lots of, like when we did Red 1, we talked about how Chris Evans's character was the what does that mean character.
Yeah.
So the characters would throw something out and then one character would say, what does that mean? And then it gives the other character a chance to give exposition so the audience can know what's going on. Whereas this movie, it really respects the audience in the way that it was written because it asks you to fill in blanks. Like we don't know for sure that Healy is an alcoholic, and we don't know for sure that, we're pretty sure, but we don't know for sure that Marsha's character is an terrible father, but we are shown that throughout the way by different ways that this is written and the way that the dialogue occurs. So, for example, you were talking earlier about how Holly talks to Healy about how her mother died. Earlier on in the film at the porn star party, we find out that March can't smell.
Yeah.
And then later on, through the course of events, naturally it occurs that Holly and Healy have a conversation where it is discussed that her mum died in a fire and there was a gas leak. And then the audience can put together, okay, maybe Ryan Gosling's character feels like he's responsible for that death because he didn't preempt it happening because of his sense of smell. Okay, that then explains the drinking. That then explains the ineptitude. Okay, we are introduced to this character when he's lying in a bath with a bottle of scotch next to him, and then the answering machine buzzes. And in any other movie, you would be able to pick up the fact that the daughter's kind of the boss or in charge or mature beyond her years because they'll tell you through exposition. But in this movie, the answering machine buzzes, and the last line she says on the message is, "Oh, and don't forget you have work today."
Yeah.
And just from that line alone, you can tell, okay, the dynamic here is not normal. And it doesn't fully go into it, and it lets you figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And that's what I respect that movies do. And yeah, even to the point where Healy's a little bit of an alcoholic, you can see as it goes on, it's really sort of dropping the hints for you to be able to pick this up and work it out. Another awesome piece of dialogue that I remember is when Healy's trying to teach Gosling, or when Healy's trying to teach March a little bit of a lesson about how you have to look at things from a different perspective. And Gosling's character or March just says, "Why didn't you just say that?"
Yeah.
Which is, again, subverting those expectations. But that's just really clever back and forth dialogue. And the witty banter that the characters have, I think, drives through the movie because the plot, if we were analyzing the plot, I'd probably give it ankle gun.
Yeah.
There isn't much to sort of tie it through.
Yeah.
But the character dynamic and the way that they're developed and the way that they interact with each other in terms of dialogue, I'm going to give this a Healy's hits. What about you for dialogue?
Yeah, I'm also going to give it Healy's hits because, and this is why I think like Holly was my favorite character, because she was really the driving point of this entire movie. Like, I believe if it wasn't for Holly, they would never have even got close to the outcome that they were looking for. So, like, even like when they when Ryan Gosling's character, March, when he tells, or when Healy's going to go to the airport to try and track them, and he's not going to say anything, let him walk out. But Holly's the one that sort of provokes March into switching on his detective brain by saying, "You're a terrible detective." And sort of March is like, then goes and then explains his reasoning of it. It's not an airport.
Yeah, it's a
hotel.
It's a hotel, yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, is he still there?"
I love the way that played out too. That's very clever dialogue also when you're talking about him, and that's a detective movie trope as well in the noir, where the detective will outline how this piece of evidence leads to the next phase of events, and then they get there and it's a vacant lot. This hotel was pulled down 2 years ago. It's just, okay.
And they find out that it is that hotel, but just the airport hotel.
Yes, yeah. So I agree. I think that was really, really clever, the way that Holly kind of...
But yes, but Holly sort of does it throughout the entire movie. Like, without her being at the porn star mansion and being there with all the rest of them.
When she came out of the boot, that got me too.
Yeah, exactly. Came out of the boot, but like, and she stays there. She's the one that finds name Audrey?
Amelia.
Amelia finds Amelia and pretty much keeps Amelia safe for the most part saves Amelia's life initially by closing the door on Blueface's arm with the gun, causing him to miss and shoot the arm of the bellboy, I think, instead. But I this is not part of it, but I also thought it was pretty funny. Whenever the guy goes to shoot one of them, he ends up shooting someone else. Yeah. So when he goes to shoot Healy in his apartment, he ends up shooting some random woman across the way. Like, it's just so real. She's like just sitting there changing and just gets shot. Yeah. And then the same thing, like he gets closed, the door closed on his arm. He ends up shooting the bell, like some random bellboy instead. Yeah. Oh yeah, because I didn't really. I picked that up a bit later on. I'm like, you just keep shooting other people. I just realized 4 random people just get shot. Yeah. But yeah, going on with Holly. Yeah, Holly. She always is sort of. She's always the one that's like in the right time at the right place. Yeah. And she's always the one who says sort of the thing that motivates the others to actually do something. Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely even to start working together. Yeah, exactly. I think her character is designed to prompt growth in March and Healy, but also connect them as a trio
throughout. And I think, yeah, as you said, she's written really well. Her dialogue sequences are done really, really well also. So what is it for you? Is it ankle gun, Healy's hits?
Oh, Healy's hits. Yeah.
Very good. All right. So we have one more. We'll do one more. All right, let's generate. All right. So the last one that we've generated is humor.
Humor. Well, we've pretty much touched on this the whole way through.
Yeah,
pretty
we
much.
have, yeah.
Like the humor, like some of it's like bold face, like right funny, and some of it's more nuanced, more subtle humor. Yeah, I do find the humor in this was very like Ryan Gosling when he was asking when March was asking Healy about his past, about the diner.
Mm.
And then so he goes into the story about how a guy came into a diner with a shotgun and he pretty much saves the day. But then in also saving the day in his flashback, he gets the guy's gun and just starts beating the shit, like probably kills the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he doesn't sort of say he kills the guy. He just pretty much says he saves the day. And that's why he wanted to be like the nice guy, do good things for people, to help people. And he found purpose in that.
The best day of his life.
It was best day of his life. And it was killing a dude.
Yeah. But then to add on to that, it cuts back to the reality of the situation, and Ryan Gosling's character is there just asleep on the diving board.
And then they go to bring it up the next day. And he's like, remember I told you about that? He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, yeah, you fell asleep.
Yeah. No, I like how it's so self-aware, and that is such hard comedy to write, and you got to respect it. It's because it's a mixture of like slapstick, it's a mixture of dark comedy, it's a mixture of physical comedy, it's like ongoing gags. And then, as we talked about earlier with the eucatastrophe stuff, some of the jokes and the punchlines are 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
And that's just it's quite a genius level, really, when you think about it, is laying in because the ankle gun situation, and that was a nothing point.
Yeah.
The ankle gun in the transition, could have just left that out. But that was them setting up something for the future, like a joke for the future. And it's that kind of layered element of comedy that makes it not feel forced, because everything sort of flows onto another. I've watched this screenwriting video, and it's from the creators of South Park, where they talk about don't use and then in your screenplays, use but or therefore.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it sequences a cause of events that seem connected. So, for example, March hallucinates and sees that Healy has a ankle gun attached to himself. Therefore, later on, when he is confronted by Tally, he believes that ankle gun is there.
Yeah.
So it's that cause and effect and that flow on from using but or therefore in that comedic writing that really makes it clever. And from watching it for a second time and seeing that, I can't wait to watch it a third or a fourth time just to see what else is there. Yeah. I would definitely give the humor element of it a Healy's hits for me too. So.
Yeah, Healy's hits.
All right, now we'll move on to our final segment. All right, so for the final segment of our Fandom Portals podcast, we have been placing the movies that we're looking at on the Fandom Portals honor board. You can find our honor board on our letterbox, which is at Fandom Portals, and each week we look at the movie that we're talking about and we place it either above or below the movies that currently sit on there. So currently our honor board is very, very small, having only reviewed 2 or so movies together. The first one in the chamber being Venom: The Last Dance is sitting first, having sat there for a total of 1 week. It dethroned Red One, having sat there 1 week as well previously. So now is the time where we kind of discuss, does The Nice Guys sit above or below Venom: The Last Dance? And if we agree, if Brasher and I agree, then that's just where it is placed. But if we disagree, then the vote will go out to the community and we'll place it wherever the hung vote is tallied. So Brash, for yourself, where do you think this lies?
Oh, 100% below Red One. No. No.
Comedy. I literally quick take to it. Like, what?
No, this is definitely number one.
I think so too. I think this, just the cleverness of it, even just the rewatchability of it.
Oh, yeah.
And some movies you rewatch and you can sit there and you know everything that happens. But this one, you rewatch it and you can pick different things up every single time, just for that alone. Yeah, it's just such a clever movie. It's such a clever write-up. And I think that there's a lot that you can learn from it in terms of a screenwriting perspective, or even just like a comedic perspective. I wish more people knew about it. And as our Threads community talked about, I wish we could get a sequel, or at least something else.
I think that's what's the ending. Like, for me, like the very end, like when he starts drinking again, that was probably the worst part of the movie. And I think, yes, because maybe would have played into the next part where they're actually now a buddy detective. So,
yep. Yeah, I think that'll be good. And it gave both characters like a buy-in and a purpose, and you get the trio with Holly there as well. I think that the three of them should come back for another one before they age out of the role. But I also read that, you know, Gosling, Crowe, and also Shane Black, the director, they're all keen to do another one. And the only thing that's holding them back is obviously the studio. Go ahead with a box office price like what it got, probably going to be very difficult to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope just some second love and some community sort of voice brings this about for us, because it definitely deserves it. You don't get much comedies like this anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd like to thank my brother Dylan for putting this on your top 4 movies on your letterbox, because it made me see it and made me really appreciate the genre, and it made me very much appreciate the talent of Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. All right, so with that, our new leader of the Fandom Portals on a board will be The Nice Guys, made in 2016. You can go and check that out on our letterbox, which is at Fandom Portals. We also have some monthly challenges going on there. Currently, we have 8 movies that we're watching through the month of January, 4 picked by Brash, 4 picked by myself, and they are just some watch list titles that you might see us review or talk about on the Fandom Portals podcast. Some we might just watch for fun, but it's just a way for us to talk on our socials about some common movies and media. Talking about our socials, you can also find us on Instagram, and you can email us. Those are all in the show notes below. The platform where we talk the most on, though, is Threads. So if you're a person that uses Threads, it's at Fandom Portals on Threads. We do shout out a lot of the people that comment on there on the posts, and that's where a lot of our community involvement comes from. So definitely go and check that out as well. Again, all in the show notes below. We do have coming out some more of our Fandom Shorts episodes that come throughout the week, just to fill the gap between the times when we do the episodes. But otherwise, you will see us on every Wednesday, dropping a new episode of the Fandom Portals podcast. So make sure you do that thing. I'm going to ask you to do that thing that all podcasters do. Make sure you go out and tell a friend about this. Share, like and subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you feel kind enough, feel free to go and leave us a review at either Apple Podcasts, or if you don't have that much time, you can just go on the Spotify app, click 5 stars would be good, but honest review is also good too. And yeah, let us know what you think, because it all helps small podcasters like us get the word out there so we can keep doing what we're doing. So thank you very much. And that is me, Aaron, signing off from the Fandom Portals.
And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, as Aaron said, leave a comment and yeah, be honest, because criticism is the only way that we can grow and get better. So yeah, just tell us your thoughts, your feelings, and hopefully we can improve as we go.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, it's Aaron here from the Fandom Portals podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into that episode. Frank, our amazing leader from the Geek Freaks Network, has allowed me to give you guys the opportunity to win a Fandom Portals exclusive t-shirt. That's right, you can wear your Fandom Portals pride on your person by entering this giveaway. So big thanks to the Geek Freaks Network and to Frank specifically for allowing us to do this. Now, the way that you enter this giveaway is if you go to our social media on Instagram and you share any of our posts and you tag us at Fandom Portals, then you will have an entry into this giveaway. Now, this giveaway will last all the way until the end of January, so make sure in the month of January you are sharing as many Fandom Portals posts as you can on Instagram. Every time you tag us using that @code of @Fandom Portals, you'll earn yourself 1 entry point for the giveaway. The giveaway will be drawn on our social media, and you'll find out the winner on the social media as well. And if you want to have a look at the t-shirt, the picture of it will be on our social media as well. Lots of benefits for being a part of our Instagram. So that's it, guys. All you have to do to win this amazing Fandom Portals t-shirt is go onto our social medias and share a Fandom Portals post throughout the month of January. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your listenership. And as always, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you later.